Conference. It is an absolute honour to stand here with you today at Health Conference, my first as your General Secretary. And as the first, thank you. And as the first lay member to lead our union, the first time in our history. And I don't come to this role from an official's desk. I come in with decades of experience of working in public services and fighting at the grassroots of our union to transform us. So my guiding principle as General Secretary will be simple: UNISON members first. And I'm committed to working with all our UNISON members on our shared mission of ensuring our union grows and develops into an incredible force of change. And I'm coming into this role with a clear mandate from members who want a union that puts them first, a union that's bold, confident and unafraid to put them first, because it is driven by workers fighting for better pay, terms and conditions and dignity. Conference, there's so many reasons that I'm proud to be UNISON. But above all else, I'm proud to be UNISON because our membership keeps this country running. This country would collapse without us. And that is never more true than when it comes to our National Health Service. No politician denies that the whole country depends on you, that everyone turns to health workers in our moments of need, that the NHS turns on endless hours of self-sacrifice. Yet your terms and conditions are still under attack. More than a decade and a half of pay degradation, outsourcing, privatisation, underfunding, asset stripping. You don't need me to tell you that because you live it. Conference, I'd love to be able to stand here today and say that the tide is turning under this Labour government, but that would be dishonest, because there might be an uptick in investment, but the structural issues damaging our NHS, keeping it in crisis and making your working lives harder remain untouched. Let's be clear, degraded pay is one of those issues. And it's not just about your pay packets, it's more fundamental than that. Staff are a health service, and so to invest in you is to invest in the NHS. So the notion that we can restore our healthcare system without restoring your pay is nonsense. And that's why we have been unequivocal with the government. 3.3% is simply not good enough. And the government might pretend it's enough by using an anti-worker measure of inflation, a measure that excludes housing costs, rail fares, student loan repayments, phone and internet connections, and all the things which squeeze your finances to the brink. And add to that the biggest energy shock in history, a whole new dimension of a cost of living crisis, the war on Iran. And we're offered less than the bare minimum. Let's be frank, Conference, it's insulting. We're fed up with politicians paying lip service while failing to deliver on a proper day's pay. We end up here, year after year, woeful award after woeful award, and it's partly due to the lack of political will. But it's also because the peer review body process is broken, and that was discredited long ago. We long since lost any respect for its conclusion, and rightly so. Health unions are unanimous on this. We are all on the same page. We now need the government to catch up. And we're also moving in negotiations with our sister unions towards improving the agenda for change pay bands. Again, this is long overdue. And all this comes at a time bringing us together in our Pay Up for NHS Staff campaign, which is underpinned and given force by your organising in the workplace, demanding a proper pay rise that meets the cost of living, and ensuring private contractors meet agenda for change rates. Conference, let's be clear. A united message to the government from UNISON Health Conference should be: start treating NHS staff with the respect that they deserve. And that means restoring pay. It means investing in workforce expansion, and it means picking morale up off the floor. Politicians would do well to recognise the esteem in which health workers are held. Our nursing professions are still some of the most trusted in the public. That's much more than any government minister can say. They want to build the NHS. Well, so do we. But it won't happen unless they pay up. Conference, with Labour in power, we hope for a break with the failed ideas of the past. We were promised the biggest wave of insourcing in a generation for public services, and we expected a serious clampdown on outsourcing and privatisation. Well, where is it? There's still far too many private healthcare vultures swooping down on our services, profiteering, extracting value, and not delivering for patients or the public. Allowing that to continue is a political choice, a deeply irrational one at that. Wes Streeton himself has pointed out that NHS hospital productivity outstrips the private sector. So let's stop pretending private healthcare grifters have anything to teach our NHS staff. At Times Conference, the Department for Health and Social Care looks alarmingly like it's being run by a Tony Blairite tribute band. You know, from the 10-year plan reinstating by the back door the discredited pro-market dogma that's already done so much damage, to the encouragement of private investment to fund new neighbourhood health centres across England. Under no circumstances can we see a rerun of the PFI disaster. The outfall from which many of our branches are still dealing with, decades on. So UNISON's message for the Health Secretary is this: our NHS can be only rebuilt on the foundation stone of its socialist first principles, not by harking back to the failed corrupt schemes of the mid-2000s. We need a renationalised healthcare service by and for the public. Now, Conference, you must all be as tired as I am of hearing about efficiencies and reform. How many more crumbling buildings and patients in corridors do we need to see before politicians stop spreading myths about inefficiencies and start getting serious about investment? We are constantly told by supporters of the government that the spending cuts are over. Well, that have been news to many of our UNISON members, because our research shows that more than 20,000 NHS jobs are at risk across England over the next couple of years. Thousands of hard-working staff, our members, facing the loss of their jobs because so many trusts are still in deficit thanks to underfunding. We need the damage done to our NHS by austerity to be proactively repaired. Otherwise, the rot will deepen. Ministers are keen to avoid the blindingly obvious to deny it. So let's just state it for them. There is no substitute for massive new public investment in our NHS. In existing staff, in expanding the workforce in all our healthcare infrastructure, the government claims there's just not enough money. But I don't think there's a single member in this hall or a single one of our members who takes that seriously. How can there be no more money for nurses, paramedics, porters, cleaners and clerks, but endless cash to splash on the military? How can there not be enough money to give you a proper pay rise, but there's enough money, 130 billion on arms a year by 2035. We see charities shaking the tin for collections to fund much needed hospice and cancer care. But it's funny, because you never see a war general shaking a tin for more bombs. Because politicians, quite frankly, choose to put warmongering first and us second. And we can all see it. Every penny, actually, every billion spent on foreign wars is a billions not spent on our NHS. The government is also making the wrong choices, putting themselves in straitjackets much more widely. Where are the serious plans for taxing the super rich? Why are they sticking to artificial physical rules that guarantee permanent underfunding of the NHS and all our public services? It is time for the government to look at themselves and then get tough. Get tough on the vested interests that have held our country back for too long. Confront entrenched wealth and power head on. From the private healthcare lobbyists to the arms manufacturers and the bond market vigilantes. That's the only way for Labour to properly defend those it was set up to represent. It's the only way for Labour to end the crisis in our NHS, rebuild the country and stop Reform UK. But we can't wait around for politicians to do the right thing. It's our task to organise ourselves, to build our industrial strength. And that's what everything else comes down to. So I do want to pay tribute to all the health workers, all the UNISON members who've taken industrial action recently. Give yourselves a massive round of applause. Standing up, fighting back, defending your terms and conditions, fighting to roll back privatisation and standing up for the future of our NHS. And going on strike conference isn't done easily or lightly, particularly when you love your job and are as clearly committed to delivering for patients and the families as I know you all are. But we need to be well organised enough and ready to strike across the board. And when it becomes a necessity to take action, and UNISON will be behind you in our collective force. So whether it's back in Gloucestershire, which I hope it won't be because I hope your dispute is resolved soon, where I was really humbled to join you on your picket lines, and good luck with your national talks, or the great work to fight for healthcare assistance and our staff as part of the union's Pay for Patient Care campaign, or the many other disputes and campaigns that UNISON's been part of, UNISON members. And I know that conference has the tribute to our striking healthcare members on Wednesday morning, so that's something that I'm really looking forward to. You know, in UNISON, we know industrial action, it isn't selfish, it's the opposite. It's an act of sacrifice for the betterment of our NHS, a stand for a better future for everyone. Conference, a top priority for me since I became your General Secretary at the start of the year, has been lifting up the brilliant campaigning of our migrant worker members. Members who are a massive part of keeping public services running, not least in health and social care. And I've taken their message, our UNISON message, to Parliament and directly to the Prime Minister at 10 Downing Street. And my message was clear: stop the attacks on migrant workers now. And our pressure conference, which began with migrant workers organising a massive lobby of Parliament themselves late last year, is working. More and more MPs are realising what catastrophic damage the Home Office proposals would do to our public services and are speaking out against them. Conference, let me tell you, we will not rest. I will not rest until the government drops its abhorrent plans to move the goalpost on indefinite leave to remain. Conference, we will not accept Those that came to this country to support us having the rug pulled from underneath them. So conference, please get involved in the National Day of Action, which is happening across your regions on Friday the 24th of April. In standing alongside our migrant workers, we're also making clear to this Labour government that futile attempts to imitate the far right must end. There will be no out-reforming of reform. And at this present time, we're seeing cynical racist politicians and pundits painting a false picture, one that claims that migrants and trans people are a danger to women and girls. In reality, migrants are facing more violence and women's bodies are increasingly subject to public scrutiny. Migrant and black workers are facing more violence. Trans people are facing isolation. This racist and transphobic rhetoric does not protect workers or women. It endangers them. It fuels the real causes of harm, misogyny, underfunding and the privatisation and profiteering of public services. Conference, we in UNISON will take a lead in combating Farage. His party continues to spread their poison and people increasingly see them for what they are. Let's be clear, conference. Reform want to take away our rights, turn back the clock on equality and parcel up our public services for their old pals in Square Mile. We in UNISON will not let that happen. Mobilising will be a crucial part of beating back this threat. So I was tremendously proud to lead a massive UNISON contingent at the Together March in London just last month, alongside 500,000 others, and to address those people on the march, making a stand together against hate and the far right. Conference, I'm pleased to announce that UNISON has now launched our Responding to Reform and the Rise of the Populist Right project, and it is now up and running. And I urge you all to sign up on the website and play your part. And please note that we do have a fringe tomorrow at 1 o'clock to 1:45, and that's in the Pentland Suite. I'm also proud of our union that it's taken a firm stand against the criminal US-Israel war on Iran, which has included more than 23 attacks on healthcare facilities in a matter of weeks. The government says this isn't Britain's war. But if that is true, then why have American jets bombing Iran been taken off from our military bases? Let's be clear. There shouldn't be a shade of British involvement in this horrifying aggression. In this union, I know we'll continue to oppose militarisation and war because we believe in freedom, dignity and well-being of everybody, everywhere. These are the principles of our work. They're the principles of UNISON. And I want to acknowledge the work of our comrades in Scotland, continuing to lead the campaign of solidarity with public service workers, but in particular healthcare workers in Ukraine, who carry on every day in the face of Russian aggression. And I want to acknowledge the Palestinian healthcare workers, almost 2,000 of them who've been killed in Israel's genocide. Medical Aid for Palestine estimated last year that 3 healthcare workers are being murdered by Israel in Gaza every single day. Conference, if you do get an opportunity, please find a showing of a film that came out late last year called The Mission. It's a real raw documentary capturing a British Iraq surgeon called Dr. Mohammed Tahir and about his humanitarian efforts in Gaza during the ongoing conflict. Filmed by medical colleagues using smuggled phones, it documents the brutal reality in the operating rooms, the collapsing infrastructure and the profound emotional tolls, highlighting the crisis as seen by medical professions in the continued genocide of the Palestinian people. Conference, our international work remains as important as ever. as whatever happens overseas has an impact here in the UK, and a reminder to us all that our membership is truly international. And discrimination in any form will not be tolerated, not against our disabled members, our women, our LGBT plus members, migrant workers or black members. We in UNISON will continue to fight rigorously to defend our hard-won rights, whoever is in government. So, conference, I'll end on this. We are facing some major challenges in the coming months. But just look around this hall. It's all here, the work we need to do and the people that will do it. A union that will deliver change you can see and feel in your workplaces. A union that organises and challenges. And I didn't come into this role to maintain the status quo. I came in to transform it. I came into this role on a vote of your voice, but comrades, I can't do this alone. So today, I ask you one question. Are you ready to be part of the change? And are you ready to be part of this journey? Because we have got some challenges ahead of us. And this is a reminder that the union is me, but the union is you. The union is all of us. But I think together we can build a union that truly reflects the strength, the resilience and leadership of our movement. A union that fights hard for justice and a union that wins. Conference, I'm looking forward to listening to you in your debates over the coming days. Thank you for your time. Solidarity. Thank you.